Today I shall be discussing Roger Corman's Day the World Ended, released in 1955. I've often called this one of my favourite Roger Corman films, if not the finest film he ever directed. And what I really meant by that was, it's the most entertaining on a minute-to-minute basis. What we have here is it's essentially a play that was unaccomplishable on the stage because of theatrical limitations, and so with the benefit of being able to have multiple locations within the geography of cinema, and then these kind of edits and to utilize tension, they wouldn't have to travel far in California to find appropriate landscape for this particular setting. Day the World Ended is fun. There's a certain tension about it. Not that we are afraid of what might happen, but we love seeing how it plays out. It's fascinating to witness this small scale human dynamic amidst the extreme circumstances of the post-apocalyptic environment. The monster in this film was one of Corman's finest, and when I mean monster, and when I mean among Corman's finest, I mean there's a Corman monster is a particular kind of monster, and the day the world ended monster, he's quite possibly my favorite Corman monster of all time. I took a bunch of screen caps of him because he's the man. We love this guy. I love how unashamedly bleak this film is. It just takes the relentless nihilism which that time in the Cold War could have permitted in the human brain, and just takes it to its nth, just a brutal, nasty little melodrama. Yeah, I think it's just brilliant that this is such a evocation of 1955. This is the kind of film which we can make. What's the kind of film we can make with bare budget at this time in history? Well, we can do a tense survival drama about the post-apocalypse. We'll throw a monster in there, and everyone's being poisoned and dying, and an old man is depressed that his donkey's not going to live. It's fantastic fodder for speculative fiction / American melodrama. I quite love the mixture of things in this picture. I'd be very curious as to what other people think of Day the World Ended. Obviously, Corman fans, I'd be very interested as to what they have to say. Is this one of Corman's weaker works? Is this just him at the start, just trying to make whatever he could make? This isn't one of Corman's passion projects, by the way. He's a director for hire. Yeah, a James Nicholson production and a Lou Russoff screenplay, and they had Corman directed just to assure that it would be a watchable film, I suppose, because Corman had directed, I think, 3 films at this point, or released that year in 55. The Apache Woman, Beast of a Million Eyes, and Gunfighter, I believe. And Day the World Ended. Those are the 4 initial films he released, all in 1955. Very productive, man. But obviously, a Corman fan might not even dare to consider Day the World Ended one of Corman's 10 best films, especially when we get these interesting works in the 1950s, or even what we might consider the more, let's say, objectively, technically superior of Corman's 1950s works, such as, Not of This Earth, that kind of proto-Terminator film, both in production and in narrative content. Or maybe this is considered one of Corman's classics. I have no idea. This appears to be one of the more referenced of Corman films. I believe it's Wim Wenders' The State of Things, where they're trying to remake Corman's Day the World Ended. I don't know if it's Day the World Ended or another 50s B movie. And then there's they remade this film Larry Buchanan remade this film, and also there's a telefilm, I think by the Sci-Fi Channel, in 2001. And as for those who are not familiar with Roger Corman, less familiar with Roger Corman, go view this film. You may find it far more watchable than you expect. You will note in your head, oh, this is a kind of film which critics will tear apart because it doesn't follow the rules of performance or VFX, or I don't even know, storyline ambition, big production scale. I'm not sure what is considered the rules for what you're supposed to critique about a film. I know what they are. I just think that's one way of appreciating a film, personally. But Yeah, no, check out Day the World Ended. You may find it far more entertaining and satiating than you realize, and you're not wrong for that. That's actually a quality of the film. That's what makes Day the World Ended, and that's what makes certain Roger Corman films, or just certain garage films in general, worthwhile, because they are so intuitively filmic, and viewing them, it's parallel intuitive as to how they were put together, and so it becomes a fun exercise, in my opinion, to experience those garage films, which do manage to be cinematically articulate with what they have, and it's evident as to how they managed to do so. What the tools, what the seams are evident, although it's satisfying to see they're working out. If you want to use a vague mathematical analogy there. Anyway, I've talked far more about Day the World Ended than some might consider it deserves, but I do not mind. Have a fantastic day.